back to the fourth revolution. We talk about stocks for your portfolio of the future. We'll be talking about the future of currencies and this cryptocurrency market, which has just blown up in the last 18 months with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high today, surpassing its April highs at right around 65,000. And now we're trading right up to $67,000 a coin. And this thing was trading before the during the pandemic, below 3,000. So we've seen over 1,000% returns since then. And it's because of this digitalization that this world has gone through over the last 18 months, with people looking towards the future of everything. And the future of currencies appears to be cryptocurrencies. And with Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, approving the first Bitcoin-linked ETF this week, it's really been legitimizing this entire market and driving new investors into it. The Bitcoin ETF is a real landmark move. It's a milestone for this entire digital asset class because it illustrates that it's investable. It illustrates not only the interest in it, but it illustrates that new investors that were weary of buying Bitcoin on these DeFi exchanges, decentralized finance exchanges that have shown people some issues in the past. No government regulation, no U.S. backing. People are concerned about the validity of these exchanges. So with an ETF coming out, institutions and weary investors are now able to get exposure to this booming asset class. And we're seeing its impact on the price today and over the last month, with not even the last month, since the beginning of October. So Gary Gensler, chairman of the SEC, showed interest in approving this Bitcoin futures-backed ETF. So he doesn't like the idea of backing it with straight Bitcoin because, like I said, Bitcoin's value and the way it is transacted is still pretty opaque and unclear to regulators. Bitcoin futures, on the other hand, which are traded on the CME exchange, are backed by the U.S. government, and they're traceable because they're traded on the CME exchange, which is a regulated U.S. exchange. So it makes it a lot more certain for investors, and like I said, it allows people that weren't able to get exposure based off of whether it was their funds. Their funds guidelines or just their weariness are now getting exposure, and that's what's really driving this market. So let's take a look at the charts. Take a look at this new ETF, the Bitcoin ProShares ETF, and where this market is headed over the next decade. You can see Bitcoin here absolutely exploding since the pandemic lows, driving up like 1,300% since March 15th, and it's because of this new generation of investors, Gen Zs and millennials, that are flooding into the market, and they're looking for the future of finance. And it looks like Bitcoin is coming into that place. And we had this boom back in 2017, 2018, and once this deflated, everybody was like, okay, it's over, no one cares about Bitcoin anymore. But the pandemic and its digitalizing effect on our world economy really proved that wrong, with this absolute explosion in value here. And we've had some bumpy rides with regulatory concerns and headwinds out of China that drove the stock down over 50% from its highs here of almost 65,000. But we surpassed that today with, like I said, this new Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin futures-backed ETF. We can see it here. This is just 2 days of trading. I'll take it down to the hour chart, and you can see it's just a ton of interest. And it's because, like I said, institutional investors are way more accepting of a ETF traded on the Nasdaq. I'm sorry, on the New York Stock Exchange than they are of a ambiguous currency traded on a DeFi platform with no regulation. So this obviously allows these weary investors to have exposure to this booming space. One of the currencies I like the most is Ethereum, and Ethereum has driven up more than Bitcoin since the pandemic lows. You can see since just last summer, this thing is up 1,600%. If we look all the way back to the pandemic lows, it's up more like 4,000%. And it's because there's an actual value in this crypto that's beyond a store of value and a medium of exchange, which is what people think of when I think of a cryptocurrency, hence, the currency. And that's what I think of Bitcoin too. Bitcoin isn't necessarily a medium of exchange. I think it's more of a store of value for this entire crypto market. It's representing that gold standard in this space. Ethereum, on the other hand, has usability outside of a currency with smart contracts, as well as a number of other blockchain-backed technologies that they are on the forefront of. And you can't forget about Coinbase. Coinbase has really grown since this talk of a ETF backed by Bitcoin futures was going to hit the market. Like I said, Gary Gensler discussed the ability of this occurring as early as late September. I think he announced it September 29th, saying that he was leaning towards approving a Bitcoin futures-backed ETF. And since then, Coinbase is up 40%. This thing has been very volatile and kind of tied to Bitcoin in a sense, as its volumes are pretty much primarily driven by that crypto market, with Bitcoin being the leader of it. This Bitcoin futures-backed ETF approval by Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, is a huge step in the right direction for the cryptocurrency market, but they still have a long way to go. This is still just a futures-backed ETF, and there's decaying implications from this because of the rollover effect from the contracts. The cost of continuously rolling over to the front contract for these ETFs, and that causes a decaying value. You see this in commodity ETFs as well. And I think we're a bit of ways from being, a fully Bitcoin-backed ETF, a true Bitcoin-backed ETF. Gary Gensler and his cohort of apprehensive SEC members are going to take some convincing before that happens. But nonetheless, this legitimizes the entire industry and allows a lot more investors to gain exposure to this opaque market. So if you're looking for exposure yourself, I would stay away from ProShares' new Bitcoin futures-backed ETF and look at Coinbase. Coinbase is a great platform with great upside potential that diversifies beyond just Bitcoin. I would also take a look at Ethereum if you're looking for a pure play cryptocurrency because of its usability beyond just a store of value and medium of exchange. So don't forget to check out Zacks.com/promo, where we have the home study course, and you can get a little free copy of it. So check that out at Zacks.com/promo. Thanks for watching, guys.